What if I told you that just 24 hours before she passed, Loretta Lynn's daughter Patsy says her mother just knew the end was near and wasn't afraid of it? That moment, so raw and real, turned everything we thought we knew about the country icon upside down. In a world that remembers Loretta for her fire and feisty lyrics, this silent acceptance, it's what nobody saw coming. Loretta Lynn wasn't just a country star. She was the blueprint. Born in a Kentucky coal mining town with no electricity and married at just 15, she took a life most people ran from and turned it into poetry. Songs like You Ain't Woman Enough and Don't Come Home a Drinkin' didn't just top charts, they kicked doors open for women in a male-dominated genre. She sang what others were too scared to say. But behind the rhinestones and radio hits, Loretta was quietly fighting battles no spotlight ever touched. She suffered multiple health scares in her final years, most notably a massive stroke in 2017 that left her temporarily unable to speak. Then, in 2018, she fractured her hip in a fall. She bounced back publicly, making rare appearances and releasing music, but insiders said things were different. The spark was still there, but something had shifted. By 2020, Loretta had retreated almost entirely from public life, and though her team insisted she was doing great, fans noticed the silence. Interviews stopped, updates were vague, and when she did speak, it was often through carefully worded press releases, never directly. So, who is Patsy Lynn? To understand why Patsy Lynn's words matter so much, you first have to understand who she is, not just as Loretta Lynn's daughter, but as her shadow, her confidant, her creative twin flame. Born in 1964 alongside her twin sister, Peggy, Patsy was named after Loretta's best friend and mentor, the late legendary Patsy Cline. That alone says everything. Loretta wasn't just raising a daughter, she was passing a torch. Unlike some celebrity kids, Patsy didn't ride her mother's fame, she worked inside it. Throughout Loretta's later years, it was Patsy who co-produced her albums, helped write her press statements, and managed aspects of her brand behind the scenes. When Loretta suffered her stroke, it was Patsy who stepped up. She canceled her own projects to care for her mother full-time. To outsiders, she was just one of Loretta's daughters, but to those who knew, she was the gatekeeper. Just one day before Loretta passed, Patsy Lynn Russell sat by her mother at their ranch home in Hurricane Mills, and something extraordinary happened. Patsy shared that Loretta just knew the end was near. But this wasn't panic or fear. It was a profound, almost spiritual calm. As Patsy put it, she looked so peaceful, like a sleeping angel, and even kissed her mother goodbye, knowing it would be the last warm hug she'd ever give. That moment isn't about morbidity, it's deeply human. Fame never softened Loretta's ability to feel, to sense. The fiery coal miner's daughter who electrified stadiums was now quietly accepting an inevitable farewell. In her eyes, Patsy saw acceptance and something almost joyful in that surrender. It wasn't sorrowful, it was resolute. As the family later confirmed, Loretta passed peacefully in her sleep at the age of 90 at home on the ranch she loved. And yet, there's a deeper layer here. This wasn't simply a deathbed ending. It was a moment of raw intimacy. A daughter realizing she wasn't just saying goodbye, she was witnessing her mother's soul at rest. The headlines called it peaceful, but for Patsy, the word is powerful. New. She wasn't surprised, she was ready. That's a truth that cuts past celebrity. It's a reminder that even the strongest among us can embrace the end with grace. Just moments after that serene goodbye, Patsy remembers one of her mother's final clear words. In the soft hush of Hurricane Mills Ranch, Loretta looked at her daughter and said she was going home. No pleas, no fear, just a whisper of profound clarity. Patsy felt it wasn't metaphor. In that moment, her mother believed she was literally departing to heaven, embracing the path she'd walked her whole life in faith. Think about the toughness we associate with Loretta, the coal miner's daughter who stood up to Nashville, who pushed back against prejudice with anthems like Fist City. And yet here she was, the legendary fighter, welcoming death with the grace she sang about for decades. Patsy described Loretta's tone as calm and surrendered, like someone stepping into a sunrise, not stumbling into darkness. Loretta's acceptance wasn't just spiritual, it was purposeful. As Patsy later reflected, that single phrase, going home, carried the weight of everything her mother believed. Faith, legacy, maturity, and a lifetime of knowing where one belongs. That moment is a sharp turn from public memory. We expect icons to defy death. But Loretta, she didn't fight. She walked into it. And that twist, that unexpected piece, is exactly what makes this truth so compelling and deeply human. In many celebrity farewells, rumors swirl, legal drama, family feuds, whispered accusations, but Patsy Russell was emphatic. None of that happened. No hidden scandals, no lawsuits or family betrayals. Instead, what followed after Loretta's peaceful passing was raw, heart-wrenching, and entirely human. At the memorial service on the family's ranch in Hurricane Mills, something shifted. The usual hush of respect became a wave of grief that hit everyone in unexpected ways. Patsy described the scene, people drifting in and out of tears, some overwhelmed by emotion. Even a cousin collapsed mid a eulogy. The hospice-level intensity of their collective sorrow was unforgettable. That hush that followed his collapse was so powerful, it felt like a physical presence, pure, cracked open heartbreak. And yet, grief didn't fracture the family, it brought them together. Late that night, on the ranch they all knew so well, stories started flowing. Laughter over Loretta's sharp wit, tears over the realization she was gone. Patsy even noticed small gestures, a nephew comforting an aunt, a shared memory of Loretta's one-liner that lived closer to the truths of this moment than any scripted speech. That turbulence wasn't dysfunction, it was a family rediscovering its roots in tragedy. The kind of raw humanity you see when walls drop and only emotion remains. Far more than headlines and stage lighting, it was a reckoning of love's weight when its rock is gone. This is what happens when a hero dies. Not the polished legacy, but crackling, messy emotion that no promo reel can contain. And in that emotional crucible, something remarkable is born. Unity, connection, a shared identity forged in grief and reminded of every meaningful verse Loretta ever sang. What left everyone in stunned silence during the official memorial at the Grand Ole Opry wasn't spoken by anyone in the room. It was Loretta Lynn's own voice, recorded before she passed. In that hushed venue, her final message played, and it felt like she was speaking directly from beyond, her words echoing with sincerity. In a tone both humble and heartfelt, she opened with gratitude. To my friends, thank you for giving me such a great life. I have never taken it or you for granted. She continued, reminding everyone how her fans shaped her path. Because of you, my kids didn't have to grow up poor the way I did. As a mother, I didn't have to go to bed heartbroken. I want you to know that I saw and remember every one of you. That confession struck hard. This wasn't a script. It was Loretta, at her core, acknowledging how her journey changed lives. Patsy later described the moment. The audience was so quiet you could feel the weight of the room. It wasn't a concert, it was closure, rendered in her own voice. During the tribute, Carly Pearce replayed that same recording on stage, relaying Loretta's "Hi Carly, honey" greeting before the message fully unfolded. That choice speaks volumes. The recording wasn't just for fans. It was for family, friends, fellow artists. And in that moment, you could feel every tear, every memory, every life she touched. This wasn't just a farewell. It was Loretta's own authoring of her goodbye. It shaped how the world would remember her, not only fearless and indomitable, but thankful, aware, and deeply connected to those who loved her. That final message transformed mourning into tribute, and legacy into something that still speaks. When the hush settled after Loretta's tribute at the Opry, the spotlight shifted to her granddaughter, Emmy Russell, stepping onto American Idol not as the celebrity's kin, but as a songwriter desperate to find her own voice. That night, she introduced herself simply, "I'm Loretta Lynn's granddaughter." Judges paused. Lionel Richie exclaimed, "Your grandma is what?" But the moment went deeper than lineage. Emmy opened with Skinny, her own raw song about body image and resilience. She sang at the piano, softly at first, then with rising confidence. Katy Perry, usually cool and collected, called her an A-plus songwriter, urging her, "You shouldn't give yourself all that pressure." The judges weren't evaluating her grandma. They were responding to Emmy's truth. Then came the judges' round. Katy, Luke, and Lionel picked songs for her. The only one she truly knew, Coal Miner's Daughter. Emmy was furious. She felt she'd lose herself in nepotism. She later admitted she was so mad when the song was handed to her. But still, she sat at the piano and trusted her instincts. What followed was one of the most poignant Idol moments in years. She poured every ounce of her heart, pride, grief, courage into that rendition. Judges wept. Katie called it a jaw-drop moment, tears slipping as she urged Emmy to own her identity, not just carry Grandma's mantle. The audience fell silent. Viewers felt they were hearing an embrace across generations. Even Patsy in the audience couldn't speak, only cried, her daughter's voice echoing their shared legacy. Only evening like, and the judges reminded Emmy that's not your size, a plea to stop comparing herself to Loretta and shine as Emmy Russell. Emmy's journey didn't stop there. She advanced all the way to the top 5 and finished top 5 before elimination, but not before returning to the Grand Ole Opry to honor Loretta with authenticity and grace. Her great aunt, Crystal Gale, called her fantastic, beautiful, and sweet, praising Emmy's bold step into her own legacy. From initial nerves to standing ovations, Emmy's arc reveals a powerful truth. Legacy may open doors, but it takes courage, honesty, and heart to step into your own story. Emmy didn't just honor her grandmother, she showed us how a new generation carries that flame forward, blazing fresh trails. After that powerful moment of grief and unity, something remarkable emerged, a long-term commitment from Loretta's family to carry her legacy forward. On the 1-year anniversary of her passing, Patsy and the rest of the clan describe it as a long, hard year without her, yet vowed to honor her life, her songwriting, her message, her authenticity for the rest of our lives. That pledge isn't lip service, it's visible in every tribute concert, every family gathering on the Hurricane Mills Ranch. Artists across Nashville echoed that sentiment. At a 2025 special at the Grand Ole Opry, Carly Pearce, Martina McBride, Crystal Gale, and others joined Emmy Russell under the Opry 100 Honors banner, praising Loretta as a trailblazer with an undeniable impact and legacy. The family responded, "Y'all did her proud, she would have loved it." That communal celebration isn't just nostalgia, it's active stewardship of her story, elevated by those she shaped. Meanwhile, Emmy Russell's own journey became emblematic of this evolving legacy. After holding back, she stepped into her true voice on American Idol, singing her original Skinny and then Coal Miner's Daughter, finally declaring, "I'm proud to be in this family. With it comes a blessing, but with it comes a curse." She admitted earlier she was so mad at being pushed toward her grandmother's signature song, but her performance wasn't imitation, it was reclamation. That moment of acceptance, both emotional and musical, is what Section 6 is all about. Legacy isn't an inheritance, it's a calling forward. Loretta laid a foundation of faith, honesty, resilience, and now Patsy, Emmy, Crystal Gale, and even Nashville's biggest voices are building upward. They're not trying to replicate her, they're interpreting her impact in their own voices. You can see it in how the family's tribute shows mix Loretta's pre-recorded farewell, "I saw and remember every one of you," with live performances that highlight their individuality. You can hear it when Patsy reflects on the faith that allowed her mother to say she was going home without fear. You feel it when Amy courageously embraces her own story on stage, no longer running from her heritage but sprinting into it. So what does that all mean? Grief did not close Loretta Lynn's story. It framed it. Legacy did not end with her death. It escalated it. And what she left behind isn't static. It's moving through music, memory, and generational change. At its heart, this story of a mother's peace, a family's grief, a granddaughter's emergence is about more than country music. It's about how we continue our stories after our heroes are gone. And while none of us will ever match Loretta Lynn's journey, her family reminds us that the true gift isn't the story she lived, it's the courage to tell ours. As Loretta Lynn quietly embraced her final moments, a mother's love and unwavering faith quietly shaped the course of history. Not just for country music fans, but for her family. That moment when she softly said she was going home didn't feel like a farewell, it felt like a benediction. It set the tone for everything that followed. Grief washed over the Lynn family in waves. Unspoken tears in the grand halls of the Opry, heartfelt tributes on their home turf, and late-night conversations rooted in memories. Yet that sorrow became something more. A unifier. Where headlines expected drama, they found unity. Where public eyes saw a legend pass, they found a family realigning around each other. Then came Emmy Russell, fighting the weight of legacy, navigating doubt, and wresting music from her roots to claim it for herself. Her performance of Coal Miner's Daughter wasn't just homage, it was reclamation. A granddaughter's tears, a judge's praise, a nation's quiet awe. It echoed Loretta's final message. Be real, be bold, be yourself. Now, a new question remains. What do we do with the batons passed to us? The Lynns responded with action. Patsy, Emmy, Crystal, each stands ready to take Loretta's gifts and make them their own, continuing concerts, embracing new music, and carrying forward values of resilience, honesty, and hope. This isn't a legacy frozen in time, it's alive. It's messy with grief and bright with possibility. If you take anything from this story, let it be this. When a legend's voice fades, their true power echoes through the ones who follow. In Emmy's new songs, Patsy's memories, and every family gathering at Hurricane Mills, Loretta Lynn is still singing. Her final chapter didn't close, it expanded. And as long as there are people brave enough to tell her story, authentically, vulnerably, boldly, her voice will never truly fade.